When was the last time you made a world with your friends? Hey everyone, it's Elliot from Many-Sided Media here to tell you that A Land Once Magic by Viditya and published by More Blueberries, aka me, is now live on BackerKit. A Land Once Magic is a conversational post-fantasy world-building game where all you need is a deck of cards and a group of friends to create imaginative fantasy worlds like you've never seen before. So head to the BackerKit right now and help us make this game a success. This is my first time publishing someone else's game other than my own design. I really believe in this project, and I think you will have a lot of fun creating worlds with it. So please go check it out, alomrpg.world. That's ALOM rpg.world, and grab the bag bundle in the first 48 hours for a special $5 off discount. One more time, that's alomrpg.world. Hello and welcome to My First Dungeon. Today we are playing a very special game called A Land Once Magic, a post-fantasy world-building game by friend of the pod, Viditya, and published by yours truly, Elliot Davis, aka More Blueberries. With me to dive into this world-building game today, you know him, you love him, it's Brian Flaherty.
Ayo, how's it going?
You know her, you love her, it's...
Oh, Abby Hipworth!
I'm making you do two different styles of intro, just to keep you on your toes. Unfortunately, we are not joined by Shenuk Tessera today. They are not feeling well. But we got somebody else on the call. Who's that?
Hi, everybody. It's me.
Oh my god, is that designer of A Land Once Magic, Viditya?
That's me. That's who I am, and that's my name, and that's what I've done.
Wow. Well,
live and breathe.
The reason we're playing this here game of yours today, Viditya, is because we're currently crowdfunding A Land Once Magic on BackerKit. So real quick, anybody listening, please head away from your podcast player of choice and help us make this game a reality. Or if you're not convinced yet, stick around and do it at the end. But really, you should do it now.
Do it.
Do it. Coward.
We'll wait.
Coward.
It's cool.
Coward.
We'll wait for you.
Well, without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to the man himself, the designer of this game. Viditya, why don't you take us into this playthrough of A Land Once Magic?
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for playing this game with me. I'm very excited. We're going to make a fun little world together.
Yay.
Hell yeah.
The best place to start is to get us all on the same page. And the way that we do that is we're going to do two things. We're going to create a palette, and we're going to create some touchstones. And the first thing that we do is the palette. So the palette is we're going to smash together a few just descriptive words. You don't need to think about like what kind of a world we're making. You don't need to think too hard about it. It's just what are some words that you think sound cool that you want to have in the conversation. And the way that I like to do this is each of us are going to pick two descriptive words. We're going to write it in chat, but don't hit send. And once all of us have picked our two words, we're going to say 3, 2, 1, and then we hit send all together, and we get to just look at all of them at once. So I like to do this because we can find surprising similarities or fun contradictions. And then we're going to go around and we're each going to pick one palette word from the pool or smash a few together if we find that they're similar. We're going to come out with about 4 words total.
Cool. I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm ready too.
I'm just now ready.
I am ready.
Okay. So on my count of 3, we'll all hit send. 1, 2, 3.
Ooh. Abby, I noticed you picked 4 words.
I mean, you were supposed to do 2.
I'm not going to lie.
5 even.
I wasn't listening that hard when the assignment was being described.
Do you want to pick 2 of the words there? Do you want to pick 2 and then kill the rest?
Yes. I will edit.
Wild, Abigail. Truly wild.
Do you want to go around and say what words we picked?
My words are stark and ethereal.
My words are delicate and frigid.
My words are fallow and crystalline.
My words are raw and patient.
Ooh, these are a great list of words. I do have a question. Brian, what does fallow mean? I feel like I've heard this word, but I don't actually think I know what it means.
Fallow is like for a field to lay fallow, it like lays unplowed, it lays barren.
Oh, okay. That's
Let me
cool.
make sure. Or sorry, is farmland plowed and harrowed but left unsown for a period in order to restore its fertility as part of a crop rotation. So it's a period. It's
So you're letting it
piece
rest.
of land deliberately left to rest and be uncultivated for some time.
That's interesting.
Hot.
Okay, cool. So, does anyone have a palette word or one or two words that are just like calling to them? Ideally, you're looking at other people's stuff, so like we'll each pick one, but we can kind of pick from the group.
I'm going to put the vote in for fallow. I think that should be part of it.
Fallow's fascinating.
I'm on board with fallow.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like fallow.
I also like patient.
Patient is good. I feel like that fits with fallow too. Of like, it is something being left to rest, waiting for a time for it to be revitalized.
And I also like to find contrasting words. They don't need to all be the stuff that work together. Like if we like these
Sure.
two, then we can also do like stark or raw or frigid. It could also be like a fascinating contrast to what we're talking about.
I kind of like ethereal as an addition to that because it feels like I don't know how to connect that with fallow and patient, whereas I think I could connect all the other ones with it.
All right, let's lock in ethereal. Do we feel like are things a little soft? Do we need an edge?
I think
Yeah.
we do.
Yeah. And then
Let's
we
get
already have
something
patient.
harsh in there.
Let's go with frigid.
Fallow, patient, ethereal, and frigid.
So let those, these are the paints that we are going to color our world with. As we play the game and as we think of ideas, come back to these words. Whether if you're looking for an idea, come back to these words to see if they'll spark something, or to almost like justify something, or to jump off of, be like, oh, we haven't seen something ethereal yet, I want to pull something like that in, or this feels really frigid, and they're fun to like give like yeses and okays to stuff. Now, the next thing that we're going to do to continue to get on the page before we even jump into actual world building is touchstones. Touchstones are a big part of Lands on Magic that I really enjoy. This is a post-fantasy game, which is a nonsense term that I'm not going to describe. If you want to know what post-fantasy is, you should listen to the Talk on the Table episode with these two jokers.
Yeah, there you go. Well, wait, you can go do it right now.
So touchstones are pieces of media. We're going to take elements from pieces of media that we are like jazzed about or interested in world building off of. And the specific thing is that these need to be things that are not traditionally fantasy. So even though we're making something that's going to feel like a fantasy world, we're going to draw from other things. Like I use Cowboy Bebop as an example. So it's like its jazz soundtrack as something to pull from. I've had people use like Hellboy, which has like mythological feelings, but is very strictly like kind of outside of fantasy, or Legally Blonde is a really fun touchstone for Eleno's Magic. House MD, like these, like we can go weird, and then we'll find a way to like they will be brought into the vibe of the world. When thinking of these touchstones, think about what you want to pull from them, and it doesn't just have to be theme. It can also be soundtrack, it can be aesthetic, it can be specific characters is always fun. It's like, I like this character from this world, I want to see how we could bring that vibe in, or I like this sequence, or the cinematography is also really fun, right? So it's like, how are we picturing this? What are you pulling from it?
Cool.
This we don't need to do all at the same time, like palette. So if anybody has a touchstone, feel free to chime in. We'll talk about it.
I'm like looking around me trying to find things. It's the thing where you're like, I have no interests or hobbies. The second someone's like, what do you like to do on the weekend? I'm like, literally nothing. I don't know. And if no one asked, I could unprompted be like, oh, I have lots of reference.
All right. I've got two options. One of them is one of my favorite movies when I was a kid, which was The Paper Brigade, which is all about like warring paper delivery boys.
Oh.
And like the stuff that they encounter. And the other is just chess.
Oh. What would you bring in from chess?
I don't know.
Black and white morality.
Black and white morality.
The game of chess, or like the kind of environment of chess, like the rules of chess, or the interaction between you and your player, like you and your opponent, the strategy of chess, the history of chess. I think there's something fun. I like both of them. I'm a big fan of either.
I always like the idea of like openings in chess, of like pre-prescribed methods of play and how those interact with each other.
Do you want to lock in chess?
Not yet. Let's hear someone else do a thing, because no one's loving chess yet.
All right,
so let's keep moving.
Vid, let me know if this works. Specifically, the sound of Marvel trailers.
How does that work? How does that work for the game?
It's just like anything that you see where you could picture someone cutting it into a trailer with the sound.
I'm into it.
It's really like frozen lighthouse on top of a mountain.
Yeah.
I like truly.
Right.
I'm kind of picturing like giant, like almost War of the World style machines.
Yeah, like it's a good kaiju sound. It's a good like end of the world sound. It's a good big battle sound.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's so strange. It feels like you're pulling on like that'll be like to think like ethereal and is so strange. All right, you want to do that trailer?
I'm locking that in as my touchdown if everyone's down.
Hans Zimmer-esque bombs.
Yeah.
For mine, I'm thinking about a sort of aesthetic, and I'm trying to figure out the best words to like describe it. But it's very much like Palm Springs 60s. Of if you watched Palm Royale, the colors are like, it's bright but sun-washed, so not pastel, but like slightly muted. It's lots of like sort of clean lines of things like flowing a bit, very bright and like sun-drenched is the aesthetic.
That's really fun. So you want to say like, what was it? Palm
Royale is the TV show that I feel like most recently sort of embodied that. But the idea of 60s sort of SoCal or Florida.
As soon as you Google image Palm Royale, it's like immediate what you're talking about.
Yes. It's very like mod, like the mod London scene, but you put a Southern California spin on it.
Okay, I put like Palm Royale 60s sun-drenched pastel SoCal colors.
That is,
I had like the whole sentence, right?
Those are the keywords, yes.
And I think like that's the important thing, right? Like that's all of the keywords there. Yeah, for sure. That's a fascinating aesthetic to think about this world in.
I also love it in conversation with
There's something
it's
there.
like if the Transformers came to Palm Beach.
It's so funny.
As they are wont to do.
Yeah, well, it's lovely there.
All right, Brian, where are you landing?
I keep coming back to like, but it is kind of fantasy. It's like Porco Rosso type thing.
It's not like traditional fantasy.
It's not traditional fantasy. That's kind of the thing.
Like,
is like pull
kind
away
of
from
Mediterranean, Adriatic, sea, like aviation.
Do you specifically want to do like that, like the aviation of it, but like flying?
I think it's like flying, like seaplanes in the Adriatic is the key point there.
Like a world where flying is common in an impractical way. That's kind of always the vibe I felt like about Porco Rosso. It's like, this is a lot of flying.
Yeah.
Right. Like instead of cars, everyone just has seaplanes.
It's also
this
like all
could have
about
been-
islands and stuff, like a lot of island hopping rather than like continental stuff.
Oh, that's really cool. I do like that. Also, the trailer bois sound can also just be like giant ships, like cruise ships, and
That's like when the enemy plane emerges. So.
yeah. Then I might do something. I think my touchdown is going to be like Mass Effect's like impossible odds. Like this is kind of a world of there's
Like a small group can overcome impossible odds?
small group can overcome something. I just like I feel like we're playing into like a fun kind of movie or TV show esque thing, and I
Yeah.
think that can like, I mean, we're gonna make a whole world about it, but I think there's something fun about, there are people in this world who are like, I've got to build a team because this problem, like there are big problems that people want to solve is maybe the thing.
Almost like there's an adventuring culture.
I think I might instead of impossible, it's like heroic because this is maybe thematic. It's like Mass Effect's like heroic, like we're gonna die trying kind of thing. You know?
Yeah.
Right. Heroic
Like the
beliefs
last stand.
Beliefs. I think there could
or
be something.
determination.
Determination is, I think, the word I want to do. Yeah. So we'll do heroic determination.
Why?
So our touchstones are trailer sound, Palm Royale's 60s sun-drenched pastel SoCal color scheme,
Hell yeah. Love it.
Porco Rosso's Seaplanes in the Adriatic, and then Mass Effect's heroic determination.
Love it.
All right.
An eclectic group, you might say.
Yeah.
Or you might say,
A group that'll get this shit done.
But they look pretty doing it.
So I hope like, with our palette and our touchstones, you have something in your brain floating. I feel like I have a few images that could potentially be stitched together into something. And through the course of play, we're going to take all of these images in our brain. We're going to make something together. The first thing we're going to do is a choice. So we're going to choose between either starting our world by looking at it through the lens of a legend or through the lens of a magic. We're going to do both, but which one we start with is going to inform the other. So what are we thinking? Do we want to start with a magic or do we want to start with a legend?
I pick legend.
You want to start
I'm
with
game-
Though
I'm
I
game for
suppose
legend.
others could win.
No,
Nope.
I think I was
made a choice
direct
for the group.
split, so you had a choice, so I'm down to go with the choice.
Okay, cool.
Made a choice.
the world needs more leaders, Abigail.
Thank you. And I'm usually so decisive, so
Okay, cool. So we're going to start with a legend in this world. You'll be creating an old legend for the world, a story that is told and then warped into something else. This legend will help build a foundation for the kind of stories that shaped the cultures of your world. And in doing so, it'll also create like at least one major faction and some like idea of what historically the world has like built itself around and so on. The way this table works is you draw a card, you compare its suit. In like table 1, a legend is told of, and then whatever your suit is what your kind of prompt is. And we'll do 1 card per person, so 3 people will do this table. You can either like expand on it as you draw the card, or you can be like, I want to wait and see what everything else says, but whoever drew the card kind of has final say on that element of this
cool.
legend. Does anyone want to start?
Yeah, I'll start. So I'm just drawing a card.
A legend is told of
Jack of Diamonds.
a contemplative scholar, the beaten soul, crest spirit, the unbowed. You can come up with a name for them, maybe what a scholar they were of. but we can also have Elliot draw the next card and see what their tales told of, and then we can build them off of that. But Brian, you will give them a name.
I will give them a name.
Now or later. I mean, if you don't have one right
I don't have anything right now, but I'm cooking. Elliot, why don't you do your thing, and I'm gonna.
Okay, cool. I drew a 4 of hearts. They're tales of wide-reaching conquest.
Wow, a scholar.
A scholar.
They don't usually do that.
Tales of wide-reaching. What? Ooh, okay, conquest. Do either of you have anything? Are things sparking? What kind of conquest? What kind of tales? I mean, it could also be like they're fighting against conquest, or they're a strategist, or whatever. Like, what are you thinking?
I was sort of liking the idea of like, what does it look like when a scholar becomes a tyrant? Like, what is like what is a kingdom where a scholar is like also a war leader, and like you're leading war in pursuit of knowledge.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my vibe.
I kind of want to name, because if I'm thinking like seaplanes and also like like making it big, making it crazy.
Yeah.
It's like this is a person who was like an inventor, like scholar in the practical sense.
Okay.
So I almost want to like give them a name of like a tool of like the ever tightening screw or something.
Yeah.
Something that is
okay.
I don't hate the ever tightening screw, if I'm entirely honest.
Yeah,
It's true. It's
I
not-
wasn't even thinking about it. It's not a tool. It's a thing, but yeah. Because that's really cool. I also love the poetic-y nature of it. I feel like scholar, you wanted to have this like this real like verboseness to them, being like, oh, I'm grand.
Right.
right.
I can also draw to see how it was warped, and then we'll see like the full legend, and then we'll get into
Yeah,
that.
let's warp it, because I think we're
right.
on the track. I think
Yeah.
we have some idea, and then let's rein it in.
So now, but now the legend has been warped, giving rise to perfect rebellion. So whoever the scholar was conquested, and whatever this story is, I'm thinking has given rise to a rebellion. This is clearly like, I feel like this is like tales, like this is empirical stuff, right? It's
Right.
And then now people are like, this story is of like blood and disaster, and we must uprise.
All right, the rebellion is called the wrench, and the tyrant, the contemplative scholar tyrant legend is called the tightening screw.
Tightening screw, that's
Or
good.
the screw.
tightening-
Just like
the
there's
ever-
one thing that
the
is pushing
screw.
things together, and the wrench is pulling them apart.
Ooh.
Wait, I have an idea. What if instead the rebellion is called like the rust? It's like,
Ooh, I like that.
Oh.
like it's corrosive. They don't think of themselves as a tool. They're not a part of.
Right. They want
They're
to break
the
from
force
that
of time.
system.
Yeah, they think of themselves as like, we destroy it. We are natural forces against itself.
The rust. And was the scholars the screw, and then is colloquially known as the ever tightening screw? Or
we could make it the nail too, or something. Some kind of. I'm thinking of like a fastener.
no, but I like screw because screws are elegant in a way that nails are not.
What about like the platinum screw, or like it's like a metal, like a specific metal, or the titanium screw?
Yeah, I like a metal. It almost feels like it
Or
kind of pulls
something
into our
weird.
like our palette.
I want to go with
frigid.
like copper, because isn't copper like really conductive? I'm trying to think what would
Yeah.
be the most useful of the metals.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
aluminum screw. Which is
Very
like
weak.
it's an impractical screw material, but
What's the scholar's metal? Mercury? The mercury
Mercury
screw.
The
The
mercurial
mercurial screw?
Mercurial screw.
Let's do it.
There it is.
Let's fucking do it.
That's just a cool,
got
it's
it.
just
We
a
found
cool
it.
combination
That's
of
what I-
words.
That's what I did to your mom last night.
Oh my god.
I gave her the mercurial screw.
What?
Honestly, what a crazy thing. Like, you come downstairs after a hookup, you're like, so how was it? And your roommate goes, I don't know, it's really like mercurial screw. it was
feel
it was
about
great,
it?
and then it was awful. Like, it just kind of kept
I
going back and
love
forth. I couldn't
that.
tell what state it was in.
So here's a question I have: Is the legend being warped mean that the rebellion has like that the mercurial screw was like previously beloved before the rebellion came along? Or
I
not
like that.
necessarily?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about like what the warp is, because Elliot, it's like, what is the tale of conquest? Is it like it's wide-reaching conquest? It could still be under like unification. It could be conquesting like evil or like danger or something like it. I think conquest is usually bad, and I get that, and like a tale way, but a lot of mythologies are also told about like, and then we conquered this land to create the safety that we have now, right? Like, it is a tale.
I have a fallow connection here where I think the mercurial screw led a conquest back. Like, if we're thinking this is like the like seaplanes, many scattered lands, like with like a big ocean of some kind, like there is a continent, like a promised continent that has been lying fallow for like generations, but the mercurial screw led us to the continent, like led the people to the continent. Or that's the story he tells, at least, or like that is told about them.
I kind of want to make it like he will lead to the like the mercurial
he
screw
will. Maybe
lead
he
them to
hasn't
the
even
continent.
yet. There's this imagined
legend,
fallow
yeah.
continent. Yeah. That's good.
Because also the idea of like land laying fallow is like it's left there so that it will be more plentiful later. So like because there's almost like a religion or
what if heaven was on
something-
the other side of the planet?
Exactly. and it has been laid there waiting for us. We've given it time, and now it is ready, and now it will have all the bounty that has been promised to us that is no longer here in our current world.
I'm also like, I'm starting to picture something of like, this is like, I love the idea of like island hopping using these planes, and perhaps it's like there's this large stretch, like impossible stretch of ocean that we do not have like the fuel or the technology or something to actually cross yet. Or
the ability
we're in
to
the
even map
process
that
of
there
it.
is something over there. Yeah.
Or we have to find it.
Which is also why like a inventor or a scholar would be like beloved, because they're like slowly trying to push us further and further out.
I was going to say it's like a quest for the knowledge and technology to be able to do these things, of like the knowledge and study of confirming that these things exist or that we're on the right path.
A scholarly based thing rather than like a war based thing necessarily. It's like we're doing this through a pursuit of knowledge.
I think that part of the warp is like, you're not a scholar, you're a titan of industry, kind of, is how the rebellion sees this. It's like you claim pursuit of knowledge, but it is,
I think, I'll like
pursuit of industry. And
like the idea of them being the rust, and I'd want to give that also a bit of a zhuzh. Like maybe it's like the rusty. I don't like rusty. Rusty feels, but like there's something rust or the rust something.
Well, I guess
right?
what would be the opposite of, so if the mercurial screw is attempting to push us ever further out from like this, let's say there's like a small like archipelago of islands or something,
right?
What would be the people who are just saying, no, we've got to stay here, or we don't need to push out farther? What would they want?
I mean, like it could
the patient rust.
I was also like, it could also be the opposite, where like we're also thinking like kind of SoCal vibes, beach stuff. Like it could be like they're known as like the crashing wave, or the something about like salt, and because like ocean water rusts like nothing, right? Like it
changes coastlines, and
it changes coastlines. It's this like they maybe are pulling from like this tale tells of us conquering and moving forward and creating the space that's ours. And they're like, we need to build roots. We need to connect to the land and the nature that's here.
It's also like Mercury is a thing that is like moving states, whereas what they want is something solid. Like they want something that is firm and
The pillar of salt. Get biblical on
I
them.
do like the
I
pillar
like
of
that.
salt. Yeah.
get biblical on them.
Get biblical on them.
I like the pillar of salt. I might actually go with that rather than like something like specifically rust based. Like they're,
Right, it's like already a connection to where we're at.
yeah.
And it's still, yes, evokes the idea of like breaking something down.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Cool.
Okay, cool. So a legend is told of the oh shit, what is it called? Sorry, Brian.
The mercurial screw.
Screw.
A legend is told of the mercurial screw. Their tales tell of wide-reaching conquest in like industry, innovation, and trying to find and push us forward towards this fallow land, past the endless like ocean horizon. But now the legend has been warped, giving rise to the Pillar of Salt, a rebellion that believes that these tales are lies and are, leading us astray. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we're going to do a magic, which is a similar type of table. So we're going to each draw a card. Like we'll draw a card in order, answer some stuff. This gives us a immediate look, like a shape for what the magic of this world is. The game is called A Land Once Magic. Magic change. Magic
He said the thing.
I said the thing.
He said the name of the game.
Magic isn't a strange state when we build this world. It is It has changed. It is changing. And how and why is something that we'll kind of play to find out. These are three, so it is said that magic was. With it, we could, but as the world changes, magic has begun to. So, Abby, do you want to draw a card?
I do. It is said that magic was the 8 of hearts.
Hearts innate to us
Ooh.
by blood, by bonds, by sacrifice. Do you have a thing that you are latching onto, or do you want to see what the rest is?
I think I want to see at least the next one.
All right, Brian.
Jack of Hearts. So hearts.
With it,
more
we
hearts.
could. Oh, perfect. With it, we could learn and master the secrets or the laws of our world.
Nice.
That feels really in line with the mercurial screw.
Yeah.
And then Elliot.
But as the world changes, magic has begun to. 8 of Spades. Erupt, violently purging itself and refusing to listen to our commands.
Ooh. Okay. So let's start defining these a little bit. Abby, how is magic innate to us?
It'd be fun to have a world that there are these like flying machines and all this like great invention. None of it is powered by like a fossil fuel or like a thing. It is only powered by the innate magic of people.
So it's like an energy we carry.
It's an energy that we carry, and that's even why we can't. It even becomes like more spiritual, like to be able to fly a magically driven plane further. It's like you
die.
It's like you've got to make the system more efficient to use your internal magic, or the people who have like quote unquote more or are like more powerful can fly farther. Like it is measurable who is more powerful.
When it's innate to us, is it like with scholarship and stuff? So it's like, are you born with more of it, or is it like a thing you learn and train and grow?
I feel like it's a thing being born with it, but it's a learning how to use it more than a like gaining more of it. Of the education and scholarship of it is like a how to access it, how to
I do like that. Yeah.
weave it how you like.
It's an efficiency thing.
Oh, yeah, like everyone has the raw potential, but
Everyone has the raw
anyone can do
potential.
it. It's like running a marathon.
Yeah, I really like that comparison a lot. I think that's great. And Brian,
Have
it's
to
like
train.
with it we could learn and master the secrets or laws of our world. Is that kind of that's like a part of it is it's this
Yeah, I think it is an element of like being able to control or invert a natural law. So like to be able to
Yeah.
power a plane, it is you are inverting the gravity and allowing it to propel itself forward.
Is it like
Mm.
a kind of is it like you need to know how gravity works to break it? Like is that kind of the mastery of it? It's like you need to understand how your body like builds muscle to then break the law of I am now just stronger even though I didn't build that muscle kind of thing. Like
Yeah, I think there's like I think everyone will have like some innate like everyone knows what gravity is without ever having to be told. Like you know that a thing
Right.
falls when you drop it.
Floating's
But-
common, but flying's
Floating.
hard.
that's
Floating
fun,
is common,
yeah.
flying is hard. Yeah.
that's a
cute.
great way to think about it. Okay, cool.
I love that.
That's a
very
really cool
cute.
magic. And is it like any kind of law? We're talking about flying and gravity. Do we want to keep it to that body or do we want to and we can also like leave this open like but do we
I
want
think
it to
it
be
could
like
be other physical laws, but I think the flight is the one that people are most interested in because it's like the goal of
right?
life kind of is to reach this unknown plane, this promised fallow land off in the distance.
Right. And because it's such an island-based world, I think that flight is so paramount that, like, maybe we could do other stuff with magic, but nobody's really focused on it enough.
Right.
But I think it is something like people probably use it to like cook.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Like
think it,
little
like-
things.
Like yeah, anything that machines do for us in Earth, this present reality is being charged and being manipulated by the magic of like innate people. So whatever that function of the machine is, like whatever the machine that we're building around it is just something that is helping us to better channel that energy.
I love that. Now, Elliot,
Yeah.
how is
The-
it now erupting? Violin?
I
Magic has begun.
I feel
to
like
do this.
I want to go like dark a bit with it. Like I feel like this is a very blah thing. It's just like I think that the Mercurial Screw or the organization under the Mercurial Screw figured out that like tapping into your own body allowed you to push your magic further into a device. Like in previous iterations of our planes or like kind of plane equivalents, it was like your presence in the machine, you were able to control it, but it was like, no, we can go farther if you take this tube and like connect it to your body. And it's like forming these very unnatural, we've made these very unnatural conduits in pilots of a certain class. And then recently one of them fucking exploded. Like the person exploded.
The human.
And it was a seismic, like the whole plane was gone. Like they were pushing this to its limits. And it's like, and now everybody who has like had one of these magic conduits grafted onto them is like terrified that they're like a walking bomb.
That like we've pushed it
Can
too
I
far.
can I pivot? So instead of having tube, could we do into like piercings?
Yeah,
Could this
I,
be like
I
a-
like,
like
I
a-
like the
I
idea
like
of like
piercings.
just
Because then you're
body
like
mods.
like
Body
literally
mods, yeah.
chained to the plane or like chained to whatever instrument.
That's
it is.
really good. Yeah, like nose rings and earrings and lip rings and stuff.
I want to like and to broaden this out too, so it's not just like because we're talking about like people do this for cooking and stuff, and it's like magic itself is kind of changing in a way. Like
worldwide
maybe it's,
magic is changing.
like or like it could maybe it's isolated to this right now. Like I think that's great, but I'm loving the idea that like it's also like we're pushing there's a kind of like a cyberpunky augmentation-y thingy going on
Yeah.
here where it's like
Yeah.
your firmware is bad or like or whatever software we're putting into it, like hardware we're putting into us is like reacting poorly to the magic or
Do you think there was like a tradition of piercing that was not like that didn't fuck with the magic, but like it's been pushed to
Ooh.
I
extremes
do
that
like
did?
that.
This could be the thing of the pillar of salt. Like maybe the metal that is being used in the piercings and like the whatever is being like corrupted or fucked up by the pillar of salt, so that it is forming a bad connection between like the machine and your inherent magic.
Yeah, we could
I like
we could
that.
do a little, and I'll call out the like Mistborn is all like metal based magic, and I like that. Maybe like
Yeah,
there
100%.
is like, and you were talking about like copper being conductive. I think I like the idea that different metals are utilized for different ways of breaking stuff. So it's like, oh, like copper infusion is used for people that are messing with electronics, or
and like stainless steel earrings are for chefs.
yeah, and so on and so forth, right? Like it's this understanding of like, you know, where technology is going right now, like gold circuitry, like gold running through your veins is acting as like whatever weird supercomputer stuff is like happening within you. You know what I mean? Okay, cool. Well, that's our magic. So we have this like idea of our magic, and we're gonna fuck with it and build off of it and see where.
And so what's gone wrong is that we've pushed it too far, or the metal's corroding.
Oh, actually,
like where would we?
How is it erupting? Is maybe the question I want you to specify in. So we're figuring out. Like,
I think it's if we're changing natural laws, like if it's like an inversion of gravity, if it's like a changing of temperature, I think those changes are not staying localized in the ways that we expected them to. Like someone cooks a pot of soup and a whole block is all of a sudden like 95 degrees when it should be 60 degrees out. Or like it's like, it's just like the effect is expanding.
And we can't quite pin down like what the correlation between the like original event and the thing that it unintentionally affects.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's unclear what's happening. And I guess the pillar of salt part of that is being like, we clearly don't know what we're doing. And the consequences of what we're doing. And so maybe we should slow our roll a little bit.
Yeah.
I do like that. Yeah, it's like refusing to listen to our commands. It's like there's like it's like a short circuit is happening between like our bodies could like our understanding of magic and the actual output of it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And it's expanding. So it's like these planes, these like pilots where this potentially first started happening is like it's taken like whole platoon, like whole squadrons down.
Right, and you've got like 3 people all trying to do the flight magic at the same time, and then all of them are affecting each other. So then like the planes are getting like ripped in half mid-flight and stuff. Yeah.
Cool. So now we're going to go into a second type of table. We're going to talk about a world. We're zooming out. Who's last to go? Elliot. So I think I'm the first to do with this. So I can kind of show you what's going on. There are 3 categories, the cultures, the land, and the magic that was. And so it is the 7 of clubs, which means it's an odd clubs. So it's a culture question. Where do different cultures commonly converse? Okay. I have 2 different images in my head, and I think I know which one y'all are gonna go with. But my idea is, I'm like, if we're all in planes, I like the idea of either like we set ourselves down in the ocean beneath, and it's like a big aircraft carrier essentially. Like we've created these like landing zones to refuel. But then I actually think the more fun thing is just a big fuck off plane that everyone kind of hooks up to, and then there's like these chains of planes that are just like gliding. They're like gliding to each other and stuff. Yeah.
What's the like fair ride where you're in swings that are just connected and it like spins and like you're
like a tilt-a-whirl type thing.
100%, yeah.
Kind of like a tilt-a-whirl. I like
maybe it's like these giant fuck off planes that have a bunch of like hoses and hooks and stuff, and there's just like the pilots there are just like in constant meditation to keep it afloat.
Cool.
And everybody else like,
or that's like those
it.
Extreme body mods where like people like do like hanging from hooks and stuff. Like you've got like pilots at the center of these massive ships with just like hooks all around their skin, and that's how they're like maintaining the plane. Ooh,
I
do, but that's because it's like you're defying gravity yourself, or you're very
Right.
in tune with gravity, and so therefore,
what a
These are
wild,
people who
like-
have like specialized and really, yes, are
Yeah.
attuned with it.
What a wild, like, 8-hour day. You're just like, all right, clocking in. All right.
Well, they
let's start with my
absolutely-
back hooks, then go to my nipples.
They absolutely
Yeah.
have very strict union rules. And
They do.
very-
Oh, yeah.
The hours
They're well taken
are-
care of.
Yeah, are very specific. You can't go over because of the danger of potentially losing
the
your
actual
focus.
physical toll, yeah. But to me, these feel like the equivalent of like rest areas or like truck stops or whatever. So it's like, this is where do different cultures commonly converse? It's probably in these like intersection points where it's like, I have to take a break. I'm hooking my plane onto this. I love the idea that they're just in constant rotation.
Yeah.
Because maybe they've like created some sort of orbit. That's what keeps them afloat, even if you're not in your seat and you like walk from maybe like wing to wing. And hang out
And
outside.
floating's common, so you don't have to like have a lot of infrastructure for
Yeah,
connecting small jumps. So you can just
Yeah.
sort of like, if you're a pilot, you're pretty good at moving yourself.
Right.
Like,
I imagine just like a pilot's license is the equivalent of getting a driver's license here, but it's like you
Yeah.
but like the test is not like what is it? What is a left? When do you use a left signal? Instead, it's like, what are the laws of aviation? And you're like,
right.
you just figure it out.
I do want to just like make note of, I think the color scheme of all this, we got to pull back into Poem Royale 60s sun drenched pastel.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
We're
Oh,
in
yeah.
like what? This is like Volkswagen ass fucking
Yes, yes.
planes. Yeah.
Yeah, all the planes are these different pastels, and like I think people are generally very chic. Like I think it's like a lot of piercings, but mixed with that like 60s chic of Palm Royale.
Of like you dress up to leave the house and
yeah.
Oh,
do
that's
your
so
hair
cool.
and do the whole
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Big fan.
I also have another pitch. I was just thinking about this idea of like floating and pilots are good at moving themselves around. If I was like, oh, it's like a dancer. And I don't know if anyone else is familiar with Fosse.
Bob Fosse.
Bob Fosse style of dance, also very much from this time period. We can watch a video, do something at some point in time, but in my head, this is the way people like motor themselves. I also just like
What am I looking? I need to find this.
or just like it's the kind of thing of when you're on a bike and there's like hand
Oh.
signals to say which way you're going or whatever. It's very Bob
Oh,
Fosse.
I see. Okay, it's what? Yeah, a lot of shimmying, a lot of
Yes.
little,
lot of
lot of little
shimmying.
hand
It's the
things
shimmies
doing.
and,
Yeah,
if you've seen Liza Minnelli tries to turn on a lamp, the
That's-
SNL sketch,
yeah.
it's very that. Yes.
I am. You're right. This is so Liza Minnelli. That's really fun. Who is actually Abby? It's your turn. So you're gonna draw a card.
It's the Four of Hearts.
So it's an even. You're talking about the land. What anomalies in the world are used as landmarks? How old are they?
Ooh. I like the idea of there being like ancient ruins in the water that we have like ideas and have sort of speculated about like what that civilization would have been like or what these structures were created for, how they ended up where they are. But I think at this point they're in the same way that you might be like, oh yeah, like the hill 2 towns over is like a landmark of you got to go around or whatever. That these ruins are very much things that people reference pretty casually and use as indicators while they're flying and island hopping of to like give direction.
Can we like see them because the water's clear, like from up in the air?
Yes. And I think some of them are totally submerged. Some are like poking out a little bit. But there is, in the same way that like, or we reference them fairly casually, but I think there is a lot of reference for them of like, nobody's going to go try to build on it or do anything like that. But yes, the water's extremely clear.
And instead of making them ancient, could they be more recent? And this is almost like if this is like an archipelago of islands, these are like small islands that have been like reclaimed by the sea. It's like another reason why we want to find this like
like islands have been sinking in recent history.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And
like
that's
that.
also like fallow in a way where it's potentially almost on like the world side. It's like, all right, we gotta
resetting this area.
Reset this area. Like the tides are coming in to take it, and then
Maybe because we've been doing too much magic over here. The world,
that could also be a thing.
Planet's
Like,
not happy.
We've been fucking with gravity and so much that like the water level's rising, or like the tectonic plates are
like we're
shifting
creating
and pulling
tides on this side of the planet.
Brian,
Ugh.
can I combine a little bit and say that, like, yes, this is a thing from like semi-recent history, but isn't something that happened like 20 years ago? It's more like 150
I think
years
like
ago,
recorded history, but not. But
yes.
not.
Okay, so we
like,
do know what
the most
happened.
recent island to sink. I think is not in any living person's lifetime, maybe,
Yes.
but it is in recorded history.
Yes. Okay. Cool. I like that then.
I do like that. Yeah. Neat. Brian, draw a card.
3 of diamonds.
3 diamonds. Odd culture. Diamond. Is there a common language? What is a common way to communicate long distances?
Cans and strings.
There is not a common language.
Sure.
I think it's like there's a common language, but it's like it's dialects. So from one island to the next, you're getting the gist, but you're losing a lot of nuance. But there is a common language for planes that is semaphore code.
Skywriting. Oh,
What is semaphore?
Semaphore is a flag code.
Oh, that's really cool.
Fun.
Nice. Is that something that the mercurial screw implemented? Like, is this a part of the conflict, like conquest of all these lands? Is that like this is the flag culture though? Like, this is like, we can have different languages. Sure, it's like it's not instituting a universal language, but is instituting like this is flight language.
Yeah, I think that's because if you're on a highway, like everyone kind of has to have an agreement of how a highway operates. Otherwise, it's not going to operate very well. So having that common language was like a necessity once everyone started flying. And once like planes became more ubiquitous than they maybe once were before the mercurial screw. That's
really cool. That's very fun. Is it like our flag stuff, or do you have any picture in your head how this is like? Is this unique in some way, or?
I love the bit of Porco Rosso where it's like seaplane pirates are like flashing each other with like Morse code or like using hand signals and stuff. I think it's very funny to have to communicate like plane to plane while you're flying, and you have to use these like very rudimentary ways. What if
Morse it's
code.
Little bits of light magic? Like, since we've got like people can do small bits of magic, what if it's small like colored flashes of light that a pilot can do while still flying a plane?
I also have like, there could also potentially be, because we're like in a lot better control of our bodies, there might even be like a specialized, like, people can talk between each other, but by like controlling their like sound waves and like the way air travels between stuff. That could be like a high level of like, this is essentially human walkie-talkies or human communication. That is just faster to do.
I love the idea that you go
see
someone to like whisper in their ear, and then they send your, like, they're specialized to send your voice to someone else.
I also do love thinking about like Porco Rosso and all of the planes and like rivals and things of just like shit talking people via Morse code, like in flight.
It's so funny.
It's just really funny.
like telling someone to fuck off
but with a flag.
with a flag, is insane.
Actually, Brian, the second part of that question is a little different, which I don't think you have answered, which is what is the common way to communicate long distance? So if flag stuff is common language, what's like, how do we communicate long distances? How do we like?
I think couriers and like postmen are an extremely valuable and important job. Okay, especially like island to island, like short hops, less so, but like when you're doing longer distances, like that requires someone who is like more trained and more skilled in how to harness their magic and like needs a machine that is more efficient to fly further.
What's special about a postman or courier's plane, you think? Like what stands them out in the sky?
I think the thing that is important about it is that they're often like, if you're just flying a plane just for yourself, it's made to be like small and svelte, so you have to do less work. Postman planes like have to be bigger because they're carrying packages and parcels and letters and stuff. So they are like, I think every postman, every courier is like fucking jacked.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
They're all beefy boys.
Yeah.
Yes, can they still wear shorts?
They wear shorts. They have to wear
They
shorts.
wear shorts, yeah.
I love that.
And
It's
dogs
also
still
Palm
hate
Springs
them.
aesthetic.
They're just all Jason Momoa in 60s little short shorts.
Dogs hate them still is good.
Dogs hate them still. Also, seals hate them if they ever land
Seals
in the
hate them.
water.
Sea dogs, yes.
Sea dogs.
Yeah, of course, sea dogs.
Also, anyone riding sea doos.
To pull back to our palette, I also like the idea that this is like a patient world. Like it still can take, like, to send a letter is how you get to know people. There isn't instantaneous long distance communication. Like you know to wait. Like this needs to get out there. It might take a few days. It might take a week. It might take a month.
I do think it is pretty sophisticated. Like there is you can't call someone and be like, on the other line, but there are like routes and like ways to trade off parcels like between planes and stuff, such that it happened surprisingly quick for what you might expect.
This feels like a world that's always innovating. Right?
I love that when it's such like magically controlled flight, you could just like come up next to someone like you would in a boat to like be like, "Hey Rick, got a package for you. Yeah, it's going to the island on the far side."
See ya.
I love that.
It's also fun to think, like, I think couriers and people who are traveling between lots and lots and lots of these like islands, like there aren't floating signs. Like I don't think there's like a highway system in the sky. It's like you just have to know. Like you have to.
There's
use
underwater
the stars.
ruins.
There's underwater, and you're using landmarks, but also like if it's stormy, you're using a compass in the sky.
Well, I was to say it's like the London cab driver exam. It's like impossibly hard.
Yeah.
It's the hardest test in the world.
Yes, becoming a postman, you not only have to be a physical specimen, you have to be well trained in the map of the archipelago.
You
the
need to
map.
go with the word geography?
No, I wasn't.
No, Brian, it's the map of the
Excuse
world.
me.
I forgot.
You have to be well
that
trained
word.
in map.
You have to be well trained in map science.
I took
which
the
is
map
different.
test.
Also, I do want to clarify on the postman thing. I think all postmen are. I want to pull away from the word jacked because I want to go to the word like portly.
Okay.
They got like you got to have like you got to have enough mass to you that you like you can use that gravity in your favor kind of thing.
Yeah, Abby, you know what it is? You know
It's
what it
the
is?
line from New Girl.
It's I'm that strong kind of
It's
fat.
I'm the strong kind of fat. Just what Big Schmidt says to Little Schmidt as he sits on him as a child.
Oh my god. Elliot.
Yeah, that's me. 4 of diamonds.
Diamonds.
Even
What is the common
diamonds.
transportation method that caravans utilize? We're talking about planes. Do you want to get caravans, right? So it's
Right.
like transporting goods, transporting people.
I think I'm gonna go with like, so we've got this idea of couriers. I think when you need to move like a lot of people, or if like a family is moving from house to house, I think there is a system of like hiring or working with 4 planes that all tie to like a platform that they carry, like holding people, or like a little like almost hot air balloon carriage, like when you've got to transport like people. I think like anything transporting people who are not pilots, who do not like use flight magic in any way, it's 4 planes carrying like a hot air balloon package, which with magic being weird has made that really difficult.
And like, can you like chain these? So there's like
I think you can.
People,
yeah. I think like if you did more planes, you could almost do like it's like 4 is the minimum to carry like one carriage that holds like a family and all their belongings or something. But if you're moving a town or if you're evacuating something, it's like in the case of like a hurricane or a tidal wave or something, like if you're evacuating, it's like 20 planes all chained together with like a big thing in the middle, like a platform or basket to carry like a town of people.
I love that. That's really cool.
And that's the when you see the big one and you know that an island is being evacuated because of like a storm or something.
That's when the trailer goes.
Scurry is an all-for-one and one-for-all role-playing game that rewards quick thinking and decisive actions, now funding a new edition on BackerKit. Play as crafty beasts embarking on one-shot heists using simple rules perfect for all levels of experience. Everyone shares the same Scurry dice, which you roll to overcome danger. As things go wrong, the Scurry dice shrink and success gets harder and harder. But don't let them shrink too small or something awful awaits. With brand new heists to scurry on, you've a whole woodland to explore, filled with the echoes of long-gone titans and the cries of animals who need your help. Included in the new edition are 112 pages of rules, setting information, and adventures with new jaw-dropping illustrations from any and Eisner-nominated artists. Get your paws on a copy at stoutstoat.co.uk/scurry.
Discover a world where upstairs, downstairs drama meets existential horror. Allow me to introduce you to Our Brilliant Ruin. Our Brilliant Ruin is a tabletop role-playing game set within the fragile remains of a society in the shadow of a dying world. Featuring gilded estates and gothic creatures, you must choose your faction and stand against ruined monsters and scheming rivals. Created by the designers of Vampire the Masquerade and Dune Adventures in the Imperium, and featuring an easy-to-learn D6 dice pool system, Our Brilliant Ruin is the next game you should bring to your table. Go to bit.ly/many-sided and use the promo code 15many-sided for 15% off the core rulebook. That's 15 many-sided.
So we've each drawn one question from this table. We'll do one more. So we each get 2 questions, and then that's when we can move on to the next part of the game. King of Diamonds, the magic that was. Nice. What artifacts does magic linger in? How does it manifest, and can it be lost? So, this is interesting. So, like, can we taint magic? Can we taint objects with this stuff? Can we almost if magic is innate to us, and there are artifacts that magic lingers in? So planes. We step out of a plane, presumably it just is a hunk of metal that sits down, right? That's landed. We haven't turned it on because we're the battery, we're the fuel. And other stuff too. I'm kind of thinking a part of maybe the magic violent erupting or not listening to us anymore is things that we manipulate are now acting on their own as well. They have a residual charge.
Oh, it's sticking around.
Yeah.
It's when we're not actively touching or channeling the magic, then it's doing its own thing.
Yeah. It's
someone's plane is not where they landed it.
I love that. That's really cool.
But my thought is also if we don't want to have, if the world doesn't have like a fossil fuel or like other fuel other than the magic that we are giving it, making an object that holds magic is basically like making a battery.
Mm-hmm.
And I would almost think like that's a new technology that is a big reason why things are becoming unstable. Because we're like, this is the first time ever that we are divorcing ourselves from actively like utilizing the magic and are instead putting it somewhere to just be held for later use.
Yeah. And I think there's something fun about maybe that's also like a thing that the Pillar of Salt is sabotaging or is like worried about, is like, yeah, we're putting this shit like the these things are like leeching off of natural land, or like the magic that's put in it is corroding or being strange, or like they change it. It's like they're attacking plants that hold a bunch of magic, and then that starts to get funky and weird. I do like the idea of a battery, and like that's a new thing. It's
Yeah.
So it's like the battery effect is like a symptom of magic going wrong, but like the mercurial screw is like leaning into that.
I think the mercurial screw was like researching something, and they like basically like a guy was, you know, in a plane, got out of the plane, and the plane kept going for a second, and they were like, wait a minute, we've never seen that before. And they kept doubling down on it to try to be like, hey, can we just have someone, you know, essentially, you know, put their hand on a plane, charge it up, and then it just goes. But we had never divorced ourselves from like magic or like this spirit or something. And by putting it just in a thing, it now, rather than deferring to our will, it is just like, oh, I'm going to, like, this magic is just like, I'm going to fly this plane now. I'm going to turn on this blender.
Yeah.
It's like it's got its own wants almost that we didn't even realize.
And it's a force that's never had that before. It's like a force or an entity that's never had that kind of will.
I'm thinking now that like if what is innate to us in this magic is this ability to understand the laws of nature and then manipulate it, then we're kind of like, it's almost like we're giving the laws of nature, like we're giving them now they're taking our free will, like it's like, or not our they're not taking it, but they're like
they're learning that
they're
will
learning
is like
from us. Yeah, like it's like the world itself is being like, oh, that's interesting. Like,
yeah, it actually it's kind of
like,
fun. It's like we put, you know, magic in a battery or something, and it's like, ooh, I can do this. And now anytime we're like flying a plane and controlling it, the magic is kind of coming up and being like, hey, actually, buddy, why don't you try this?
Why don't you do
the
this?
devil on your shoulder.
It's kind of a devil on your shoulder, or just like, you know, a child at play in the fields of the Lord, just like, you know, screwing things up.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's like we like created AIs and now they're like gaining consciousness and stuff like that. Very similarly, weirdly cyberpunky is where my brain goes with this
Very
magic.
Blade Runner.
Very Blade Runner.
Yes.
Beginnings
of Blade Runner.
It is very
This
like,
is
yes,
a Blade Runner prequel, actually.
it is very like self-actualization or something.
That's what it is. It's like we're giving these objects or like whatever magic
or like the
is.
singularity type thing.
I keep thinking of Beauty and the Beast and then having to remind myself that those were full humans who got transformed into household objects and not household objects that gained consciousness.
Right, yeah.
I'm
What if
almost
there was
thinking with
one
like
household object that did just gain consciousness? They were all humans, and then like one item was actually like, ooh, I was just a chair.
Whisk.
And they're like, yeah, I loved being a human. Like trying to blend in.
I love human stuff.
I feel like to kind of bring in the ethereal from our palette, I feel like there's rumors, unconfirmed, that when these planes and stuff are operating, there's like you see almost a form of a person, but like it's like the way that you see like heat in like with the way heat changes there. It's just like there's like a
The lingering.
for a second you're like, was that a person? Yeah, like the memory almost of like someone casting magic in it.
Can I pull in a word that we didn't use, which was crystalline, and kind of add some of that to it of like, it is you're seeing a person, but just like with that reflection through the light. So like you're only seeing this figure if the light hits it just right, and then you're getting like
Yeah.
your fractions.
Yeah. I do
100%.
actually like we haven't pulled on frigid too much as like as a touchdown. I maybe even like as a weird contrast to our like island SoCal like tropical-y vibe, that when we imbue something, maybe it becomes cold, like maybe it crystallines a little bit.
It's like a weird heat transfer thing.
It's like a weird heat transfer, and then similarly, that shimmer, that crystal is almost like ice or frost, as like just in the air, kind of
snowflakes.
And then the second part of this question I drew is like, how does it manifest and can it be lost? I like the idea that maybe the object that you did this on like can no longer be used again, or if this happens enough to like there, maybe that's something that's starting to happen, is like this plane flew itself, and now when you try and power it, it like refuses. It doesn't work.
That's so creepy. I love it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It doesn't
Almost
need
like
to be
it's pulled itself out of the game, essentially. It's like,
Which is
no,
why
you
I feel
can't do
like
this with me
there
anymore.
is also the growing dichotomy between the mercurial screw and their supporters of like, you see, this is so cool, like it could just do its own thing and you don't need people to be powering them, and the people who are like, no, we don't know what it's doing,
Right.
and this is wrong.
No, this is a problem, not a solution.
Yes.
Like you get that, right? Like this is bad.
Right.
Okay,
Like that's
love
not
that.
cool.
There's a question emerging for me, and maybe it'll come up in a draw, but like, where are we getting the metal for these planes and piercings and everything?
Do you wanna keep that in the back of your head, or do we
Yeah,
wanna just
I might keep that in the back of the head for
Let's,
like another question.
Abby, why don't you draw a card?
The Jack of clubs.
Nice. So another magic question. When magic was changed, how did wildlife change? Great. I've been kind of wanting to wonder about, like, you know, we're in an island
Right.
world, we're in an ocean world. Wildlife, I want to know kind of what's going on with wildlife. So when magic changed, when magic started to erupt violently, how did wildlife change?
Ooh, I like the idea of birds being weird.
Yeah.
And my first two thoughts were either that the birds are now flying too high and or flying too low, of like there's like the elevation at which most like air travel is happening. Birds are like, we're not fucking with that whole part of the sky.
Gravity's fucked there.
Yeah, where they're like,
the
we
wind
don't want
is wrong.
No,
that
thank
jet
you.
stream is off. The vibes are bad.
Do you think birds are just like get going for a time and then they hit like a pocket of this and then dip?
Yeah.
They're like, we're out. Yeah, so I feel like birds can literally feel that the air is wrong. And so are behaving very strangely. And then I similarly feel like fish and sea creatures have to have.
I was gonna ask, like, we touched on, like, we're probably fucking with the waves, if not intentionally, probably unintentionally, just with the amount of like things we're shifting. Like we're not even just like gravity, but like temperature, land, so on and so forth. Like, yeah, how is that messing with ocean life?
There is some like boat travel. It's not a ton, and for the most part it's very local and fishermen, and you know, for feeding yourself and your family or things like that. But there is some bigger boat travel, very little. And I think the sea creatures have been attacking the boats.
Ooh, we got orcas.
We got
attacking
orcas.
yachts.
Orca brothers.
Attacking yachts.
That's
think-
fun.
Yes, that it is
Oh, I got a question for you, Abby.
yeah.
Are they, and like maybe people don't know this, but like on a meta level, are they sensing something is wrong? Like we are changing the laws of nature and they're reacting to that? Or
yes. I was
like-
gonna say, I feel like it's we the people populating these islands may or may not actually really understand this, but the whales or creatures or whoever it is that are attacking these boats are doing it very much as an attempt to communicate with us that they know something is wrong. They know the magic is fucked. They know that we've gone too far. And it's an attempt to aggressively inform us of this.
Because that's how sea mammals swim. Sorry.
Exactly.
Can whales also have magic? They just don't have access to machines to like make it really big. And when we
That's
said
what I
that
was- that's what I was thinking.
floating is standard, flying is not, I want floating whales.
Yeah. I mean, like
out of the water?
They're mammals. They can come out of the water for a bit and breathe, and then they go back down. And then they like it's
it's like fly fishing, but whales.
It's whales, but like they'll like breach, and then they'll just like kind of float there.
The breach is a little too long.
It's a little too long, and it gets high, and then they'll just like drop in like the middle of the ocean, make these like huge riptides and waves and stuff.
Actually, then yeah, like I mean, Abby, you kind of been saying this. Like, are animals now starting to manipulate the world, or is that something that they've always been able to do, or are they like they don't have this innate magic? This is like a human thing, and they're fighting against it.
I think they have small bits of it, and different species have different levels or different forms or can do slightly different things with it. It's just, or we assume it's most prevalent in humans, and that we've like trained in the same way that I feel like there are like dolphins are supposed to be smarter than humans, and or there's other creatures where they're like, yeah, we're not the smartest species on the planet,
or like we've
done the most.
like cats can be intelligent in ways that humans aren't, but we are smarter than them. Like, you know, like we're just measuring based off of our own intelligence.
Yes. Yeah. I like the idea of all wildlife has some degree and like form of this magic. And there are people dedicated to like studying it, but it's not a very popular science.
It's like the natural state of the world. It's like that, like using tools as an animal isn't unnatural, but the Industrial Revolution is unnatural.
Yes.
Bears are using tools, monkeys are using, you know, it's like
I love the idea of like a bear doing a small bit of magic to like catch a fish, and that's just like the way nature works.
Yeah, they manipulate it so that the fish jumps out of the water for a little too long so they can grab it more easily.
Yeah. And that's honestly the only way swimming makes sense to me. You got to be doing a little bit of magic.
All swimming.
You're telling me a fish can just swim?
What? You can breathe underwater?
Crazy.
Get real. Get real.
makes sense.
That's magic.
Come off it.
Michael Phelps, wizard.
Wizard.
Crazy.
I guess sorcerer. He was born with it.
Brian, do you want to draw a card?
Ace of Hearts.
Ace of Hearts.
Ace.
Culture. What? Oh, we kind of were talking about this as the anomalies. What relics remain of an ancient ancestry between many cultures?
From a time before there were like machines and planes, there were great long bridges between the islands of the archipelago.
Fascinating.
I think they were like.
Have we just let them rot?
Yeah, are they disassembled or have we just let them fall into disrepair?
I think they've fallen into disrepair and like some of them are still up. A lot of them are like on buoys that are like tethered to the ocean floor. So it's like it's wonky walking across because you're walking like for a couple of miles on these things that are kind of like moving back and forth and like up and down. So it was never pleasant, nor was it ever easy. So now that people have an easy way to get around that is, you know, they're using their own body, you know, magic. It's simple. It's quick. Those have all but gone to ruin.
Oh, that's really interesting.
I
have
think
like
the pillar of salt meets at the center of these bridges.
100%. They use it.
Yeah.
For sure.
They're insistent.
I also like that makes me think that like historically or like whatever like our ancestors were or like these people that built these and learned from it is like this almost feels like Avatar, like this feels like bending, but like by creating things that like cause you to move with the waves and like feel natural movements of ocean and water and wind currents and all these things is how like we initially began to learn the laws of the world.
Sure,
it's like people were like, okay, when I float, like when I'm brought up and I float in the air due to like a wave crashing me and like causing me to jump, that's like them building that understanding.
Oh, the irony.
The irony.
Beautiful.
We've lost our ways. Our people learned from the ocean and we fled to the skies.
That is the cry of the Pillar of Salt. We fled to the skies.
Oh, I do love that. I love that. Elliot,
Yeah.
draw our last card for the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nine.
Elliot, what's
9 of clubs, which we've already done. 9 of clubs we've already done.
Something we haven't done because I drew and I didn't want to do it. But Elliot, do you want to draw another card to answer on this table, or do you want to go to like a supplementary table and answer the question there, like a magic, like another question that?
Like
furthered...
if we've already.
Yeah, so if it's a duplicate, you can go to like kind of a supplementary table, which for this one I would say like a magic or a calendar.
Let's do a calendar. We haven't done that yet. I'd like to supplement with a calendar.
Yeah, it's all the way down. So it's 9.
9, yeah. How are years differentiated? Are there specifics outside of numerical? I think that our system of calendar is based on metals. Since we're going in the metal thing, I think it is a metal cycle. Is how we talk about our years. It's like, this is a gold year, this is a platinum year, this is a like
copper
wedding
year.
Anniversaries. No, but I think that's the way. And then it's like copper 1, copper 5, copper 10. Like,
yeah,
like that's our cycle.
We are in the fall of magnesium 30 or some shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very complicated calendar system.
But people get it, right? Is it just on a cycle, or do we have like, this is a gold year? Like, is there something that happens at the turn that determines it, or is it just a cyclical, like we know what's coming
I think
next?
there's like a resonance probably to that metal and like magic associated with that metal in its year. I think that it's like, I think it is based on, it's different depending on who you talk to. I think there's a lot of cultural answers to this in the world, but I think it's based on the movement of molten metal in the earth and that cycle of like time, like when we have concentrations of different things. I think the way however this planet it's set up, it happens to cycle that on what we call a year in this world. And so that's like different affinities grow stronger based on that.
Hey, Elliot, that's dope.
Hey, thanks.
That's really cool.
That's super cool.
Let's get into it. So this is all a bunch of broad stuff. Now we're going to talk about a city. We're going to define one city in this world, one of many, and answer a few questions based on that, and then kind of see what life is like in this world. So the way to do that is we're going to go to a city, and this is another establishing, like 3-part establishing table. So I think it's Elliot,
Back
it's
to
me.
you. Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'll go. So we're going to define what the city's influence is, what its regional variant of magic is, because different places maybe deal with magic differently. And a local legend is told of here. So it doesn't need to be like our big guy. It's not our thing, but it's what's kind of the tale of this city. So I'll draw first. Its influence is 7 of Diamonds. Innovation, a nexus of learning and invention. I'm
cards are
kind
on
of
our
feeling
side.
like maybe a college city. or some kind of university city is like, because I think we could do like factory industrial, but nexus of learning and invention and contemplative scholar, like this could be that's my idea.
Yeah.
like it.
Is it state sponsored? The university?
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. Like this is a whatever. I mean, we're calling it the Mercurial Screw is like the guy. I don't know if the Mercurial
MSU.
Empire. This is Michigan
Not
State
on this show,
University.
Elliot. Not on this show. Go
Many-sided
Bucks.
university. And then there's a secondary question, which is discuss the city's proximity to another landmark. I think maybe, I kind of like just to add like a fun, like potentially the Pillar of Salt could be around here. It is next to, or it's near an old bridge, like a major one. Like this could be like, this is like the Golden Gate of the ancient world, right? And it potentially is in a much better shape than other ones because it is so like sturdy.
Could this be like a very central island, so it actually has like a bunch of these bridges?
I think so too. Yeah, I like that. And like
a
and that's-
Manhattan kind of
like a
vibe.
Manhattan, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's like here's the big ones, and then we have like one that's a major landmark, but there's a bunch of these other ones that lead around it. And they're not often used. Like I still want to keep that, but it is like, it's a hub. I love these bridges. They make me feel like they're like ley lines on the world too.
my
It's just like
gosh,
like an
Yeah.
image that I had when you brought that up. I think that's just so fun. Okay. Me, Abby. Draw for its regional variant of magic.
Is the Two of Hearts.
Hearts. Academic. Yeah.
Seen as the true form of others.
So is there anything particular about how magic is used here that's like particularly academic that changes it or is viewed differently?
I think that the university is particularly well regarded as like a research institute, and that there's a lot of students and groups and professors and whatnot who are really trying to innovate and find the ways in which magic could be used for all sorts of different things. And so there is a lot, and it's a huge emphasis on like study and trial and error and, slow and steady and writing it all down, as opposed to a sort of inventor approach of like, let's throw shit together and see what happens. That it is very rooted in like, they have a very impressive library with all sorts of reference tomes and whatnot. That it's
I love that.
everyone's very well read here.
Like there's magic in that library that most people don't even know is possible.
yeah.
Because they just because one research student did a project on it, but it was like, there's not really a practical application for this, but nice.
Yeah.
And then Brian, a local legend is told of
Three of Clubs, a beast, titled for their ferocity or their benevolence.
a beast. So we're bringing in wildlife.
Ooh, it's a whale.
Oh yeah.
You know what it is? You know what it is? It's a whale that breached like years ago, like breached the water and went up into the sky and has stayed up there.
Oh my god! Wait, that was I was literally just picturing that in my mind, like a National History Museum whale skeleton, but it
blue
just
whale.
is there.
It just
Yeah.
is there. Is it
It's
like
just
does it
what-
orbit the
Is
city?
it very
or is it-
slowly
I
coming
think it-
back down, or it's
No. It's so here's what it is. This was like a catastrophic event. Actually, you know what? This is how the last city fell. Was this
Ooh.
whale like went up, and you see it all the time, like it passes in front of like clouds and stuff, but you never like see the whale. You see the shadow of it. It's just like always very, very high up, and then at some point in the past, it will just like fall, and it'll like oftentimes it'll hit the ocean, and it'll just be this big like tsunamis. But every now and then, like it did 120 years ago when the last city was like destroyed, it falls on land. And it completely like pushes a city down beneath the waves.
Whale fall.
Yeah.
Whale fall.
I mean, it like it's finishing its breach, right? Like that's the idea is that it comes out and it takes
So this whale's
centuries.
still alive.
Whale's still alive. Whale lives through crashing into a city.
Whales
it's
live
massive.
forever.
This is a massive whale.
Oh, what's it called?
This is city-sized whale.
What is it titled?
I mean, it's just got to be like the Behemoth or something, or the Deep, or
Jessica.
Like Jessica.
You know, classic terrifying.
Classic terrifying.
Absolute bitch.
I do
like the Shadow,
Or like
maybe
the Fall.
The Fall.
I kind of like the idea of playing on shadow because, I mean, if you were in a city,
Or
it would
Eclipse.
go dark. Oh, the eclipse.
The Eclipse is good.
Eclipses
eclipse
are
whale.
bad omens
Yeah.
in this world because it could be the whale.
Is this even like, so you're saying this is something you can actively see, or is it like something people are like when a specific cloud blocks the sun, they're like, could be an eclipse whale. You never know.
I think this is like, I think there are people who think that this is myth. People that think this is like a world shaping myth, but it's not. And
This is a real creature.
It's a real creature. It's also like known by enough people, like pilots out in the middle of the sea have seen like this whale fall and seen the tsunamis, and like you've felt it.
It's such a sailor's tale, this feels like.
Yes.
It's like, but it's pilots. It's like pilots are like, no, I've had to swerve, like it showed up. It was a big storm and I felt like I almost crashed into a wall, but it was the eclipse.
But it had an
whale.
eye. Yeah.
It had
You know
an
what
eye or
has
something,
you know what has the vibe of? It's very much on the map. Here there be monsters.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. And it feels like maybe it's like it destroyed the first city, and then potentially scholars came in to study it. And that's what kind of birthed the university city in its stead now or something. Like,
do you think there's a crater that like the university has preserved, like a small piece of
it's
the
like
crater?
it's like a crescent island or something, and there's this big fucking
big
chunk
lake in
of
the
land that was taken
Should
out
we
of
call
it.
the whale the belly?
The belly.
The belly flop.
The belly flop.
I love the idea of like a grizzled old seaplane pilot. I saw the belly flop one time. Out their way to the west, here there be whales.
Well,
Underbelly.
I do like that. It's like whale falls and like these things are legendary, but people have seen them, like smaller whales do it, but this is like the big one, right?
Yeah.
That's the idea.
I guess
the
Titanfall
Kraken.
is like the word I kind of want to pull to.
Is this a type of whale where like there are whales that are this size that just like worldwide exist, or is this one legendary whale?
I think it is. I think this is a type of whale. I think there are very, very few of them, but I think that they are a natural phenomenon that they essentially underwater currents are created by these whales.
They're
natural
magic.
It's not even necessarily. I think they are magic, but it's just like their bulk and their motion, like the way they move through the world, affects the entire world.
They only need to move their tail and their flipper like once to move hundreds of miles, but that force breaks into huge waves.
I really like these big whales.
Yeah. I'm a huge fan of big whales.
We like whales on this podcast.
Okay, cool. So we're going to now, as a group, pick whether or not we think this city is crumbling or flourishing. I kind of have an idea, like a direction, but I'm curious if people are with me.
I mean, I think it's crumbling like a cookie, but that's just me.
Oh, interesting.
I
was thinking flourishing, but I'm cool.
I mean,
think
I'm
it's
fine with
flourishing,
either.
too.
I was thinking this is where everything feels good. Like when when you're causing a bad time, this is the place where you're like, I don't see the consequences of this yet, but the surrounding islands are like, oh.
Yes. Okay. Cool. I like it. Yeah, let's have it be flourishing then.
A city flourishing. This table is where you'll flesh out the city you have started. A city with a bright future, but for how long? Here you will find out the history and residents of your city.
I do like it being like a the coastal elites. They don't deal with the troubles of the rest of us.
We are still in the fuck around time. We've yet to find out.
Yes. And boy, is it fun to fuck around.
Versus a city crumbling being a city with a troubled past, but possibly a brighter future. So like there's two sides of the same coin here, right?
And we are flourishing.
Yeah.
We are still in the process of hoisting ourselves by our petards.
Absolutely. All right, Elliot, you're going to start. Because Brian was the last one to draw a card. So you're going to draw a card, and this is a question table. So you draw it, and it's the value.
So I got a Jack of Diamonds, which is the legend's influence. How do the people tell the legend's story to others? So the whale legend, I think it is pilots drunkenly talking about it in bars, and then the occasional like mom tells a kid a thing my mom used to say. It's just like, oh, on a cloudy day, make sure you carry an umbrella lest the eclipse whale falls on you or something. Like it's a little bit of like a common old wives' tale parlance, but then you've got pilots who are like swearing it's real drunkenly at a bar.
I do think it's also like the whale's overhead and it like blows water out of its blowhole, and that's like a storm.
Yeah, 100%.
And maybe it sometimes bellows, and we get a big throughout the world.
Yes.
Yeah, thunder.
Thunder, yeah. And to go back for a hot second, we didn't name our city, but Elliot, you brought up that it's like potentially founded by the Mercurial Screw. Do you have like an idea for a name of the city that maybe he would have called it, or people would have called it? I have a basic idea.
What is it called when you fuse two metals into a new one?
Meld?
Like making an alloy?
Or an alloy?
An alloy city or something, or new alloy.
New alloy city is very fun. Yeah, alloy.
Or just alloy.
Alloy's
like the city of Alloy.
The city of
Alloy.
City of
Alloy.
Like.
Yeah, and it's like the College of Alloy, or yeah, that's really cool. Ooh, I have there might be a question about it, but I imagine like there's slag is the runoff, or it's bad combinations basically.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when you make molds and stuff like that,
right? The outer cities are called the slag
or something like
that.
Or
it's like what you call poor people. Yeah.
Oh my god.
You know you've done good world building when you come up with a mean word specific to your world.
So. Yeah.
You've built a complex society.
Pejoratives are very important to language. Actually.
What are you doing in this class, slag?
Slag.
Oh, these
I heard you're on scholarship, slag.
wow.
Oh, that's so good. Okay.
Oh my god.
Oh, there's gotta be. Okay. It's my turn. I gotta draw. I gotta see if we come up with a slag or not. That'd be so much fun.
Oh my god.
Evens. Oh man. Oh, this is kind of perfect. So mine it's the ambitions of the people. I drew a 6 of spades. So who heals when they could harm? I think it's got to be a slag. Like it's got to be like like somebody who I love like somebody who came here through scholarship, somebody who like potentially we haven't talked about like the magical, like the medical use for our magic, right? There's got to be something with like being able to understand, like, because learning how the body works, physiology is intensely.
We're probably really good at it.
Yeah. So this might be somebody who like maybe this is like somebody who's come to this college and he's like maybe runs a free clinic or is like healing people.
I feel like it's got to be somebody in power at the college who did come up as like a slag.
Yeah.
And but like now is like the dean or something, and it's the first time like not an upper crust person has been dean or something like that.
Oh yeah, and they're like they're healing instead of harming. Like they could harm by perpetuating potentially like the institution.
Right, like they
in.
took all this shit to get there.
I think maybe it's the college in the university. This is like the College of Physiology and Medicine, right? Like this is the is it mercury that they were like, drink this, it'll make you better.
I mean, that did happen.
I think that did
Arsenic?
happen. I think it's, but it's like I like I'm trying to imagine like each of the colleges are named after a metal based around their pursuit.
So I was just looking up, and like common alloys are like bronze and brass and nickel and steel and copper and pewter.
Oh, if all the colleges are different alloys.
Oh,
yeah,
that's cute.
that's what I was.
I
I was
like
like, what's the metal? What's the thing? I mean, wait, no, what's like sterile? What's copper, right? Like copper is sterile or something
steel is sterile, and
copper sterile.
platinum is also sterile, or titanium, I think. I think titanium's what we put in people.
Yeah, maybe it's the Titanium College is the one that they recently became the dean of. I think they're still butting heads with other colleges, but they're trying to push the medical field to like help people more. And I like, Abby, you were like, this is very like academic in a we take our time and we like study everything and record. Maybe they're like, people are in danger, like people need fucking help. Haven't you seen like arms are being ripped off because somebody is like just trying to do like basic shit? Like we have to figure this out. And
Right.
urgency.
Yeah, surgery with the magic being wrong.
Like oh yeah. So they maybe are like trying to figure it out, and that's their thing.
Yeah, I like that.
Cool.
So is anyone here good at naming characters? Do we want to give this person a name? I don't know.
Doctor
Could be Titus if he's the Titanium College. Nominal determinism.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like with the
Doctor.
Pope, where you get
choose a name.
You basically have your title and your name are one in a sense. That's not really popey, but like
it's like you get the doc. You're the Dr. Titus or something like that.
Yes.
Or you're the Titus.
Yes.
But they have a first name or something.
What if his last name? What if he's Dean Scrad, but the kids call him Dean Scrap because he comes from the poor area of
because
town?
they're mean.
Because they're mean.
Kids.
Because they're
It's like
used and we
endearing.
hate you.
Because they're used.
Yeah, and he's owned it. He puts like Dean Scrap on his office. He's like, oh, you can't make fun of me. I make fun of myself. I'm Dean Scrap.
I'm Team Scrap.
I like it.
That's
like
fun. Abby, draw a card.
All right. The 5 of Hearts.
Odds, hearts. The feature. What district is the city building up, and who seeks to benefit from it?
Ooh, I mean, the university is just sort of taking over everything, and
They're getting a new football arena.
Yeah.
No sports.
It's
They're
getting a new metal discus arena. Yeah.
They're just getting a new big
metal disc.
It's discus, javelin, hammer throw, and water sports are the only sporting activities.
And how fucking weird are those things? You know, like we're sending them miles ahead because we just.
I just feel like the university is growing, expanding. It's becoming the kind of thing where like, if you or your family don't have some kind of connection to the university with your job or someone's a student, or it's in the way that every single person in DC somehow works for the government, even if it's like, a 3 degrees of separation. I feel like this is very much every single person in the city, 3 degrees of separation from the university. And so it's slowly but surely pushing out other communities that have been longstanding there, of like perhaps there was along the coast of it a lively fishing community that sort of is being slowly replaced as they're like, well, we can import that's fine. And so I think that they are being
Is there a particular like campus they're building? So it's like, what's the thing that they're advertising? Like, oh, we're clearing these docks to.
I mean, I feel like a thing that takes up so much space and it feels so wasteful, even though it's necessary, is like a runway for airplanes. Whether it's a land or water, or maybe there's like both, and that's why they're taking over the whole sort of coast of having a airport where they can study and test and like a test facility for these things of trying to hone into like what is making the magic stick and also how to maintain control over it or like the potential of it. So I think that the coast is being slowly taken over by like a testing facility airport that will have both a land and sea runways. And so this fishing community or section of the city is sort of getting pushed out.
Love that. Brian?
Queen of Clubs.
Queen of Clubs. Where is the legend now? Why are some people happy about this?
I love the addition of why are some people happy about this?
You know what it is? I think the whale is over top of the massive city and has been like stationed there for a while. Like there's been a shadow of the city, and the Pillar of Salt is happy about this and sees this as like almost like a divine justification that like they were right.
Whoa.
Okay. Yeah. So it's like some people, you're taking like some to be like a tiny, they are like, see?
Yeah. And again, I think this is like, this thing is so far up there. It's like, it's borderline between like a wives' tale and a scientific fact. But it's still there, still threatening to do something. To correct a very large imbalance that maybe it had to do. Like it also like harkens back to like maybe that's what happened 120 years ago when the last island got destroyed. Like did they get too big for their bridges?
How many days of shadow did that city experience before the end?
12.
And how close are we now?
We're at 8.
Oh, nice. I was going to say we're overdue, like the LA big one, like where it's
yeah.
Oh, overdue is great.
It's been 45 days. Yeah.
45!
I've had it over for like 16 days.
Actually, wait, that's right. Maybe it's like,
days.
Maybe it's like way, way over. And then the question is like everyone who wants it to fall or like wants this apocalyptic thing to happen to like correct the imbalance is like, look, it's about to happen. And then everyone who's sitting right under it is like, but it's not happening. So
but it's not going to happen.
Right. Like it should have happened 2 weeks ago. So this is clearly something different.
That's very interesting.
Man, Vid, this game really is about climate change, huh?
It just happens.
Every game's about climate change when you think about it.
I told you. And yet I asked no questions about the climate.
Not one.
There's so many questions about the climate. And we're going to move on to the last table and bring us into a journey in the land. We will zoom one step further in to look at a group of people traveling in your world. You will see who they are, what they're doing, and finally a story is being told during that time. I like to think of this as not really an epilogue, but almost like the prologue to this world. So we've created a bunch of stuff about it, and now like we're about to step into what feels like the start of a journey that we can go on. This is a final 3-step table. Elliot, you start.
So a journey in the land starts with when traveling with a 7 of clubs pilgrimage.
Ooh.
Faith, research, or fleeing. Oh, I think it's got to be a fleeing pilgrimage. I think one of the. I think like there's dramatic island loss and there's slow island loss. And I think that there's an island that is being slowly lost, but the writing is on the wall, and this group of people is traveling in one of those plane caravans that we talked about before. Maybe to Alloy City. Maybe that's like they're hoping to find work. Like it's people hoping to find work. Like the outer islands aren't serving them anymore.
I do tend to, I like, they are traveling towards the city we made. And then me. They are traveling during diamonds, an unexpected crisis, dangerous weather, a sickness, or post-ambush. Oh, interesting. I mean, we never talked about pirates. I know, like, I don't want to toss like a new thing.
But there've
but
gotta
there are
be pirates.
There's
But
gotta
there
be sky
are
pirates.
obviously sky pirates.
Every world
yeah.
has pirates.
I think I'm gonna do two things. Like, it's a storm, maybe. But that's like accounted for. Like, this is a storm. They're going through it, but then like this is like a dangerous time. Because they were like raided. They're like also got raided, or like they just outran, or they were being raided by some sky pirates and fled into a storm. Maybe like whatever pilots are leading this caravan have made that executive decision, and they're trying to like outrun an ambush by going into a storm. And then finally, Abby, you're going to draw a story is being told about.
A story is being told about protection. I drew the Queen of Hearts. To comfort, subdue, or bolster. I like the idea of it being an adult talking to young people, of trying to basically say like, yeah, we're headed into a storm, but like, let me tell you about the time. And it's not a personal one, but it's like a thing from history, whether or not it's actually true, sort of story of to comfort them in the sense of like, you know, let me tell you this exciting adventure tale where people went through a similar thing. But if I present it to you as an exciting adventure tale where they came out okay on the other side, if a little battered, then you will think of this as an exciting adventure instead of a like terrifying escape.
Yeah, I like that. For some, I'm getting like kind of Sinbad vibes, you know, like this
Yeah.
is a story of like, you know, it's like we're on the seas and bad things are happening, but it's cool because we're cool. And like,
Right.
oh, actually kind of like we didn't talk about it too much, but it's the like Mass Effect's heroic determination. It's like,
Yes.
don't worry.
Let me tell you about the Sky Captain Iron Jack.
Yeah. And he flew in towards the eclipse whale, and
Flew towards the eclipse
flew
whale,
towards,
yeah.
and it's like everyone said not to. That's danger, like, you know, that's suicide. But he knew.
Some say he flew straight into the blowhole.
And out the other side.
and people, yeah,
Because that's how blowholes work.
Yeah, straight down the middle.
all the way to the bed.
Yep.
I love that. We're going to end our game of A Land Once Magic. We're going to take even one step further into an individual, somebody who is in this world that we made, who's somebody that you would be excited to embody.
I really love this storyteller. And in my head is an impossibly old man who's perhaps was known in the town as being like a little bit crazy, but also is so old that he has 10 million stories that somehow are relevant to every situation. And the reality is that he's extremely smart and perhaps didn't study at this university, but did study somewhere and is an academic and scholar through and through, but realized the negatives of that world, you know, 70 years ago as a youth. And and so pursued something else because he understood it wasn't necessarily worth it.
Oh, I got a question for you. Does he still use magic, or has he refused to use magic since?
I think he definitely uses it, but in the same way that like your average Jane uses it. it's part of the world and it's part of what we've got going on. And so it's like, yeah, I'm going to use it. And he has the knowledge and skill to use it to much greater ability, but doesn't because he knows that, or he disagrees with the use of magic in that.
This feels like a guy who composts. You get what
Yes.
I mean? Like
And was composting before anyone else was like, what the hell is that? It's the original eco-friendly hippie man. He claims he can speak with the sea creatures and he knows they're angry, and everyone else is like, Grandpa, you need to take a nap.
And everyone just calls him Grandpa.
It's just Gramps to every single
Gramps
person.
to everyone.
No one knows who his actual family is.
Brian or Elliot, do you got somebody?
I got an idea. I think that I am in the caravan, and I am a young hotshot chef, loaded up with stainless steel piercings, and I'm like, you give me something, I can cook it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think that I am secretly a Pillar of Salt agent being sent to Alloy, to City of Alloy.
Nice.
But my cover is that like I'm just a chef that is looking to go to the big city and like get into the top restaurants.
A booming food industry. Lots of
Yeah.
phenomenal
I mean, there's
restaurants in
definitely got to be a culinary school there.
Gotta be a culinary school. Yeah.
And I've got Copper Eye Curtis, the leader of this here caravan. Ain't never lost someone yet, never will.
Is Copper Eye Curtis a former courier?
Current informer. I used to curry favor, and then I curried envelopes, and now I curry people. And sometimes I eat curry.
Do you actually have a copper eye? Is that or is that?
It's actually pewter.
But you tell people it's copper.
It doesn't rhyme. Pewter eye Curtis. Come on.
Nah.
I love that. I also wanted to be like a secret member of the Pillar of Salt. I think that could be fun.
Do you guys
And we don't know each other. We don't know about each other.
Maybe
Yeah.
we don't know about each other.
Constantly trying to like suss the other one out.
I am a scholar who is a part of the Pillar of Salt, who's like potentially seen the problem. Like I'm in the climate change disaster movie, I'm like one of the scientists that are like, if we don't change it, and then I die 20 minutes into the movie, and that's the catalyst of it all. Maybe I'm like the pupil of the guy who died. You
tell me a bunch of stuff right before one of the pirates blows your head off.
Exactly. Yeah. Or like that was my mentor, and I'm now like I don't have his skills. I don't know. Like I know I have. It's everybody else is like who could maybe take up the mantle, and it's like I guess me.
Right.
And I'm being sent to Alloy City to potentially also infiltrate from the inside or something.
To dig through the tomes to see if you could crack the code.
I got a big target on my back. I think I believe I'm the reason why the pirates are here or something. Maybe I'm holding some big secret.
Because the screw government's not above hiring pirates.
No.
Well, they're called privateers.
They're called privateers.
That might be even something that Brian Copper Eye Curtis was his name.
Copper Eye Curtis.
Yeah. He's like, maybe even, I feel like that's what he's whispering. It's like,
These aren't pirates, they're privateers.
they're
Okay?
privateers, yeah.
Meanwhile, my old man is like, they're pirates through and through.
No, but they're properly sanctioned. They're
Yeah.
called privateers.
Don't listen to what he says, kids.
It's just a hatch by another color.
It's government propaganda.
Yes, but it's government propaganda that leads to lower taxes for me, so I'll take whichever one I can get.
Fight me in the skies.
That's where we end our game of A Land Once Magic, but that's also where our story within this world would begin.
I love this.
So yeah, thank you so much for making this cool world with me.
Thanks so much for making this cool game for us.
Thank you so much, Vidi, for coming on the show and taking us through this game. We were Brian, Elliot, Abby, and Viditya all playing together, making this cool-ass world. And thank you so much for listening. If you liked this and you want to make your own cool world, you can go to alomrpg.world, that's ALOMRPG.world, and help us make this game. It's going to be a beautiful little A6 open spine lay flat book. Or you can get the bag bundle, which comes with a notebook and a little bag that Viditya's going to hand stamp. What is this?
We love a bundle.
Tell me more.
Yeah, go help us make the game. It's really great. And you can make your own cool fantasy world like we did here today. Thanks so much.
Post-fantasy.
Post-fantasy world.
Post-fantasy.
And then you can teach all your friends and family what post-fantasy means.
Yeah. And you're gonna.
So post-fantasy, it's like postmodernism. But
It's like postmodernism. It's like a vibe of difference, you know.
It's more feeling. They're more like guidelines than actual rules.
It's where people Bob Fosse from room to room.
And remember, if you're having fun, you're already doing it right. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
You like us. You really like us. At least, I assume that you do, as you've listened to every minute of this episode. And yet you haven't already left us a 5-star review? Oh, well, what are you waiting for? Get over to Spotify or Apple Podcasts and leave that review now. It's always wonderful to hear words from our adoring fans. Getting more ratings helps people find the show and love it as well. And we love to hear your nice words. So head over to Spotify and Apple Podcasts and leave us that 5-star review. Ta-ta!